All right, well, we're ready to put this back together, and in order to do this, I got a kit from Mac 1 Airgun Shop, and there it is right there, and we're going to use that to put all these parts together and seal it up. So let's get started on that. So what happens when we get all this together is the CO2 canister is going to fit in here, something like that. It's going to seal against this seal here. And then when we cock the gun and shoot it, this actually is going to come forward and pierce the CO2 powerlet here. And it'll come forward on every shot. But once this is pierced, the gas is going to go into the chamber behind here, which is made up of these pieces here. Get on there. That one. And this one. Come on. Something like that. So the CO2 is actually contained in this section here. Spring, of course. So you see how it fits together there. And it takes a little bit of pop to get that to come out and pop open the CO2 canister. Okay, before we get there, let's back up a second and work on these O-rings. The first seal to go in is this one. I don't know if you need to put diver's glue on that one or not. Silicone, this is called silicone O-ring lube. Diver's grease is what we used to call it. And we just got to work that into the this opening here best we can. We can get in there. Try not to scratch it up. And there we have it. Okay, so that's installed. That should be flush, like so. And then to make sure it doesn't come out, everything looks good there. Okay, great. This, oh, almost forgot. We need an O-ring to go here, and there's actually a lip on the inside of the tube here. I don't know if you can see that, but the one that's way forward here. And this seal seats against that, and something like that. A little bit of grease. And see if we can't force it on there. Come on now. Help me out. Okay, it doesn't want to go on, so I'm going to make a funnel here. I'll be right back. For some of the other Benjamin and Crossman CO2 guns, you have something like this. It's a cone, and let's say we were fitting an O-ring on this. You put it over like that. Start the O-ring at this end, roll it over, so that way we would miss any threads or cutouts or anything like that here. Well, this doesn't fit this. It's way too big. So I'm going to see if I can make a cone. I usually use brass, but you know, somebody out there who's thinking of doing this may not have brass, and so we're going to use, I think this is a plastic lid off of a salsa container. And let's see, how can we do this? So we take the top of the salsa, and we're going to roll it up as small as we can. Something like that. Cut off the excess here. Now, if I can hold the doggone thing, I might be able to get that O-ring on there. There we go. The O-ring is on there. Now we can cut off this end right there. Put the end of this in here, and we can slip that O-ring right down into place, kind of like that. Okay, so that's together. Next comes the piercing assembly. You can see, oops, you can't see. Okay, you can hopefully see that it comes up a little bit of pop to it. There, it's sticking out of the hole right there. Takes a little bit of pressure to do that. So that's all ready. And now we get more diver's glue or grease. Grab one of these seals. Stick it on the bottom of that, like so. Grab one of the other seals. Goop it up. You can see this is pretty similar to the resealing of the Sheridan pump-up rifle. So it goes something like that. Okay, and we take our tool, get that together, and we have that together. So it's ready to go in to the tube. Okay, well, if you recall, what we did with our pumpers is pretty similar. The nut's the same, the threads are the same, all that stuff. And we're going to go ahead and practice here one time. Put that in. This is a guide. I've seen where people wrap tape around this so that it'll be centered and they won't get it off to the side and get cross-threaded. And we turn it back till we hear it click. Right there. We're going to make a mark so that we know when we put all our stuff in here, that's where it should start at, that nut. Okay, I think that's where it starts. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so now for the real deal here. I've already got the compression chamber in there, and now we'll put this all together like so, and we're ready. Let's see if we can get it here. Okay, you see our mark here. We're there. Yeah, I'm going to have to turn it up on this end. Again, this is similar to what we do with the pumpers. There, did you hear that click? And then we should be able to screw it together. And in fact, we've got it started there. To tighten this all the way, I'm going to take it over to the vise and tighten it up. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we put it in the vise. We tightened up the nut, so we're in pretty good shape there. At this point, you do want to check the other end here and take a look down there. I don't have a light to shine down in there, unfortunately, but you want to make sure that the point of the piercing pin is sticking up through that round hole. So I can't show it to you, but it is in this case. So we're ready to go ahead and test this and see if it will take a CO2 powerlet. And so here's one, a clean one. And I always put just a drop of the secret sauce. Or you can use other lubes if you want, but just something that's going to keep that seal that this seats against nice and moist. That's what we're trying to do. So there it is in there, and then we get the cap here. install it. Okay, so we've got our the receiver and the tube in the vise here. We've got this screwed on. There's a power lid in there. Everything's put back together. We take our steel rod, put it in there, and what we're going to do is pierce that power lid. You're going to whack this with the hammer. Okay, so you heard that. Until we're done, we can put it together, right? Not quite. Let's take a look at one last thing here. Okay, we've got our gun sealed up here and put back together, and now we want to test it to make sure that it's not leaking. We just put all new seals in, and we don't want to send it out without checking it first, because if somebody puts a power lid in there and it leaks out overnight, that's not good. And the way we test these is we weigh them and see what they weigh, and then weigh them again the next day, overnight. And if they weigh within 1/10 of 1 ounce of what you started at, then you figure that's acceptable. It's a fairly slow leak, or it's not enough to warrant going back in and tearing it apart. If it's more than 1/10 of an ounce less than where we started, then we have a decision to make, and we adhere to that rule in this shop, that anything more than 1/10 of an ounce gets resealed again, just to make sure that it's not going to be leaking when somebody else gets it. And I want to mention too, with these things, you're probably better off shooting the CO2 out if you've had a shooting session, because if you recall, there was a seal in here, and that CO2 powerlet seats against that seal where it gets pierced. And if you leave that powerlet in there for a period of time, it can get stuck to that seal, and you can open it up and you can't get the seal out, or the powerlet out. So I'd recommend just shoot out the rest of the CO2 and pull that powerlet out, and then it's ready for you the next time that you're going to use it. But that's up to you. But I see a lot of these with the powerlet stuck in there. So let's go ahead and weigh this gun and see what we come up with here. This weighs in pounds, ounces, and tenths of an ounce. And this one weighs 1 pound, 12.5 ounces. So we're going to record that, and we're going to come back tomorrow and weigh it again. If it weighs within 1/10 of an ounce, we're good. What's that? 12.5 ounces. Okay. Good. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. It's been sitting overnight. Let's see what kind of weight we get. We're shooting for 1 pound, 12.5 ounces. And there we are.